Good morning to all. Welcome to day 6, session 10. Today's session is actually generative AI deep dive, but he is along with considering ethics and considerations and bias also used. Right? Along with that, he is giving some insights on easy related things, how easy related things are related to AI. We will cover that also. Okay, Dr. Dinesh M is a technology leader with 24 years of experience in product design, development, academic collaboration. He is currently working as a senior product manager at UST Global Technology. Over his career, he has held significant roles, including head of academic Asia Pacific region at Microchip Development Center (R&D), architect at Wipro Product Engineering, lead engineer at Samsung R&D. Senior Systems Engineer at Siemens R&D, Bangalore. His experience spans consumer electronics, automotive systems, semiconductors, real-time embedded systems. He has contributed to the development of advanced technologies such as Google Smart TV, motherboard, engine control unit software for luxury cars, that is Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and firmware for the first iPhone controllers, Samsung chipsets. Dr. Dinesh is also a accomplished academician and author. He wrote the textbook Practical Embedded Computing, a hands-on introduction to ARM microcontrollers, widely accepted at the university in the USA and APAC. He has delivered numerous FTPs, motivational talks, designed new courses, contributing actively curriculum development as a board of studies member in several universities. His research documents include one patent, 4 international publications, and mathematical model with an algorithm for fish health prediction. He holds a degree BE in computer science from PES Institute of Technology, Bangalore, ME in CSC, Anna University, Chennai, PhD in computer science and engineering from VTU, Belgaum. Welcome.
Morning all. Are you able to hear? Is it clear? There's some low and high. Are we clear? So good morning. I'm very happy to be part of this FTG and share my knowledge and also learn from you people as well. Are we audible now?
Yes, sir.
I think this is good, right? Yeah, so I think it's almost 6 days. This is the 6th day which we are having this session. Hope I will not take your most of your time, but I will not bore at the same time. Let's be interactive. So first thing is I would like to understand what is your background so that I can tailor my talk accordingly. So I have a different. So I don't want to get into something which is not very irrelevant. At the same time, I want to bring you something which is relevant so that your efforts yield maximum impact. So maximum impact in the sense where you will also deliver more and the students also get benefited. Once the students get benefited, overall as a society we get benefited. That's the motto. So may I know what is your background? How many are you from computer science background? Please raise your hand. Electronics? Okay. Any other branch? IS? Data science? Data science. So is that okay? Can we have a small introduction for 1 minute from each of you to just to get understanding? Could you start? Your name and which college? Oh, that is Bangalore. Oh. Oh. So where is this coming? See. Oh. How about you? Yeah. How about okay. Oh, I am getting your about you?
I am a student of API. I am in
Okay.
computer science department.
Oh. So good to know. So today I will try to bring some insight into generative AI, what it is, basic stuff, and I would like to focus more on where exactly the actual strength we need to develop. So now, as you know, there is a lot of things happening with respect to geopolitical aspect. That's why Trump is saying that we will not allow Indian goods to get into their market. He is taxing very high. And this side, coming to India side, our Prime Minister is having a different vision. Okay, and there is a lot of layoff happening, right? A lot of companies doing layoff. Intel is has already laid off around 20,000 people, and Microsoft also laid some 50,000 people. Google also is laying off. So, and you people also trying at your best. Some scholars like you study and you study for the job. Professors like you train students. Students are not getting job. Once the students don't get job, you will not be happy. College will, the administration will ask you, what happened to your teaching? Nobody is getting the job. You are pressurized. So, the basic thing, what's happening is, get set. So, basic thing, what's happening is, are we industry ready? Is the question. So, everybody will tell there's a gap, education gap is there. We are not industry ready. So many terms are coming up. The technology is growing left and right. We are not able to keep up ourselves on pace with the technology. Like this, we keep on discussing. So, but where is the gap? How do we ascertain this gap and how do we fill this gap? Is the question. Now, I wanted to bring some insight on that and as well as touch upon the AI technology as the main focus of this session is on AI technology. I will bring some insight and I will also give you some insight which is in the background. For example, you listen to a lot of melodious songs, right? SPB, I think everybody will know. SP Balasubramaniam, not the best music singer, right? And we know Ilayaraja also, one of the good music composers. So what we do is, we see only the actors in the movie and we enjoy the actors, the way they act and in the background, SPB voice is there and a lot of musicians are playing music, someone has composed. So whenever situation comes, we will remember those people. Otherwise, we will just imagine the front end, the movie. The same thing is happening here also. So what happens is everybody will speak about AI. AI means we generally think about some programming language or some algorithm or some model. So behind that there is something which is hidden, which we fail to see and appreciate that. So I wanted to bring that as a main thing, and I wanted to travel the journey with me so that you will also understand. That's the main objective of this program. So today, we will speak about generative AI. So how many of you write papers, publish papers in international journal? I think most of you do it. So how do you basically do the paper study? So you need to do literature survey, right? So how do you, can you just let us know, madam, how do you do the literature study?
Related to that, download all the
Papers.
in there.
Okay.
In that, we'll see what are written, what are recent development, what are the what is the gap, how to overcome the gap.
So overall some 10 papers you will download and study and maybe summarize, right? Anybody would like to do something in a different way?
Even using this all open.
Yeah, also we can do it. How we can use AI tool for doing this summary? Can anybody tell me?
Gemini AI and other tools are there specifically for
Okay.
But
But if you do that type of literature survey, what happens is you give it to some tool,
Yeah.
plagiarism, it will fail, right? Because AI is generating. It will
they
fail.
have one option. We'll try to rewrite, but we'll get the major contents, important details, gaps.
Okay. Any other way can anybody think of how we can do a survey of a paper by using generative AI? Or some other different method. If you have to generate AI, even different method. How do you progress? How do you make your job easy? Can anybody tell me what about you? Do you have any idea? You don't write papers? How do you do it? How do you do it? Some literature survey? Yes. Experience. This side, what about you, madam? Do you have any idea? How do you do the survey, literature survey? Okay. Okay. So probably you spend around 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours by taking all the noting down the notes, reading the paper. So one of the way what we can use is we can make use of generative AI. Generative AI, there are many tools out there, right? So probably we have Gemini, ChatGPT, and Meta AI, Meta.ai, some tools are there. So where you can download some documents, 10 papers you can download, and you can upload this document into the tool. Once you upload it and ask for summary, it will give the summary. Now, once you do this, you will get to know summary, what it basically contains in this as a juice, right? Then what you need to do is, in order to go away from the plagiarism, so because it gives you plagiarism, right? Once you understand the summary, you start writing on your own. So you should start writing on your or keying on your own, so that you will evade away from the plagiarism way. So now, how does this basically generative AI is able to generate the summary, right? How it is able to generate the summary? What it contains. For example, you say after loading the document, you say please generate the summary. So how it will do the summary?
So pre-trained data based on all the previous history, it keeps on updating. Generative pre-trained model. So based on that, all even sometimes whatever prompt input you give us, even now that it will get update, it will get trained. So based on till date, it will give the summary. Based on what prompt you give.
Oh. Are they settled? Just give me a minute, I think that's getting settled. Done? Okay, so we start. How about you?
He's doing it. It's okay. You can
Oh,
start.
you can start. Okay. So now basically, whatever you give, let us say somebody you want to generate, can I get a summary? So what happens is, this generative AI tool, the ChatGPT or Meta AI or any other tool, it just basically gets those words. So let us say I want to say, can you tell me about semiconductor industry? So what happens is, these words are again split into different individual tokens, and also it tries to understand the internal meaning of each and every word. For example, when you are typing, I will come. When you are typing, I will come. In the mobile, in place of I, we will say you will come. The meaning gets changed, right? So similarly, there is some people will have while typing, in the mind there is something, and while typing there is something. Okay. Now the AI should be able to understand the basic syntax, and it should give the right outcome. So now AI should be trained accordingly. If the AI is not trained, whatever you are asking and whatever it is going to do, it will be different, and it will not match. So generative AI is such a important thing where it learns from a vast data set. It learns from a vast data set. For example, ChatGPT, Meta AI, everything. They would have tested by using huge amount of data set. And also, it is a human created content to understand patterns, structures and relationships. So whatever you are giving the words, the grammatical aspect, the meaning between the words, and the way the word is kept in the sentence, it develops the relationship among this, and it tries to give more meaningful relationships, and it then uses this knowledge to produce new output that is similar but not a direct copy by training the data. So once it gets the overall meaning, once it gets the meaning, and it already it would have developed some model or some content, and whatever the question or query which you are giving, based on that, it will again increase some more learning data, and it will give the new data. Okay. So now, for example, something is there. Who speaks something about India? Means when you ask, it gives some text. When after that someone asks, it will give another different text because the previous query, whatever it has handled, so that will give some inference and it will train the model. And next query, whatever it comes, so previous query also it will try to get the inference and give the new data. So every time it will be new, it will not be same. Okay. Now the thing is, how do we use AI? AI should be used such a way that you should know what to ask and how to do it. If you are clear with that, then AI will support you. If you don't know what to ask and how to do it, then AI will not be effective. So now you should have that clarity in your mind. Once you have the clarity, automatically AI can help you. Then what is this basically AI? It creates a new and original content such as text, images, code, audio, video, everything we can do. There are a lot of applications we can try developing. For example, when you want to write a poem about some pet animal which you have. So even the AI can do the poem. But thing is, it should be on your own. So how much you go depth, you can get to know the details. For example, I want to understand about C programs. So what is the syntax of the structure? There's a structure, there's a variable, right? So how to define a structure? If I ask, it will give some basic things. If you go and ask further, I want in-depth, please explain the structure concept and in-depth give me the details, it will give the details. So it is basically how much depth you want to go. It depends on as an individual how you query yourself. Okay. Now how it works? Basically AI it works in it has different models, foundation models, neural networks, generating new content. So do anybody have any idea about foundation models? What are foundation models? Can anybody tell me what are foundation models?
LLM.
LLM, I think Madam told LLM. Can anybody explain what is LLM or expansion
First
model?
LLM large model, then LLM.
Oh, okay. Any other idea? What are these foundation models? So basically AI use foundation models. What is this foundation model? Foundation model is
Neural network.
Basic models that we use for training and developing or implementing the project.
Correct.
Like CNN, SVM, ResNet, NetNet. These are the basic models. So every we can go with a hybrid like combination of CNN and SVM. So and meta-heuristic models. So these are the advanced models. So we are making a basic foundation model like to get a good result. So we go with the meta-heuristic or hybrid.
Excellent. I think we brought most of the points. So basically this model, what happens is this basic foundation model, which as he mentioned, as sir mentioned, lot of small models which we cater and we use very massive data set, and it will be, these data sets are trained in various domains. It can be any domain. It uses text, video, everything, and it is trained, and you can come up with some output, and you keep it there, and tomorrow you query it, you will get the data. That is one of the models which we use it. Second one is neural networks. Can anybody tell me what is a neural network?
It is try to emulate similar to biological neuron. Logically, they think.
Okay.
So they will work similar to
Human
neurons,
brain, right?
Simulate. They are
Simulate.
emulated. They should behave like human in all aspects.
All aspects. Excellent. Any other idea? What are neural networks or neural? What is the basic meaning of neural?
Neurons are connected between the neurons. Weight will be given. Weight
Connection. Okay, so now I have one question. Now, for example, we have small children, right? And we were also, when we were small, let us say you go near a gate. You go near a gate, there is a gate which has a hand drop where you close it like this. Okay? And when you are 3 years old, 4 years old, you will learn that. And when you go near the gate, if you want to open, you will say, put it like this, or you can latch it. And there is one more way of gate where the gate will be closed by latching a circular thing like this, right? So now, and when you are 3-year-old child, you would have seen only the hal drop way of gate where you close it. But when you come to the latching of gate, then immediately you will think, right? You will not get to know at first time. Then somebody will do it. They will latch the gate so that it opens. Again, they will latch it back so that it gets closed. So this is adaptive learning, right? So you would have learned something, and by looking at someone or by experience, you would have adapted learning. So neural network is basically what happens is, then in case of neural network, the basic the mathematical model, it will have a lot of bias or process, and it will also have a lot of weights in the logic. Okay, these biases and weights, they make use of it and start developing a model where it can adaptively learn new things as a human brain. So neurons, what are neurons? Neurons, basically, the biological term, neurons are nothing but cells. So can anybody tell me how many neurons we have in our body?
Billions.
Sure. So as far as I understood, we have around, all human beings have around 70 lakh neurons in our body. Okay. So now, why somebody is, why we are different? How we are different? So you are different, I am different, she is different, we are different, right? How it makes a difference? Can anybody tell me? Features, okay. Then? Yeah, how neurons are different? How each one individually we are different, right? So how it is basically, how it makes different?
Intelligent quotient based on that intelligent quotient based on how that the brain and cerebellum and other things.
Okay. IQ also. Then any other things? Learning capability. Thinking capability. Then any other thing? So now maybe it is out of topic, but just I will leave it for 2 minutes. When the child is made to join the school, right? The first Aksharabhyas will do. So what we will do in Aksharabhyas, first thing, first day of the school, or when we go to temple and we make the child to write on something, right? What is that actually? Rice. On the rice pulses we ask the child to write. What is the need of doing that? What is the need of doing that?
Taking a blessings from
No, actually the thing is, we all have 70 lakh neurons in our human body. Now the thing is, the fingertips are nothing but it is where the actual neurons get ended. The fingertips, actually what happens is the neurons ends at the fingertips. So now when you are asking the child to write on the rice or on the rough surface, for example, some people they ask us to write on the sand, right? Sand also they are writing. So what happens is it stimulates the neurons. These neurons are directly connected to the brain. So by doing this, basically you are stimulating the neurons and making the child to think. The neurons are basically fed and nurtured by 2 vitamins. One is vitamin B12. Okay, vitamin B12 which we got from the animal fat, especially curds, milk, egg, all these things we do. And even the cod liver oil and the soya bean, so this way. So now what happens is during the process of our growth phase, that is why we should make sure that the children, they start a lot of physical activity at young age. Once they do the physical activity, we have 70 lakh neurons, and how many ever neurons you stimulate, that much intelligence you will have. So what we do is, we instead of giving the children the physical activity, we give them mobile or we make them sit idle at some place, so that the neurons are not activated at the right time. So that is why each individual we become different. So if you stimulate, if you make your brain, not only at young age, even at the older age also, if you can stimulate your brain and invoke your neurons, automatically you become more active. That is why if you are active, your brain will be active. Your neurons will, basically neurons are active and automatically you are more active. And once you go to sunlight, vitamin D, right? That is also is an influencer for vitamin B12. So when you are doing your checkup, vitamin B12 and D, commonly you do it because both are proportionally related. Okay. So now neural network basically it has bias. While making a decision, it will have bias. So bias is basically how the human we think, right? We have the bias. So anybody, your children, your relatives, everyone. Whenever you are thinking, you have the bias. The bias is the partiality. You have already inferred some knowledge, and with that knowledge you will do it. And also it has some weightage. Oh, what is important? How much weight we can give for the decision making, and then. Apart from that, we have other key models like generative pre-trained transformer, that is GPT. So we have Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer where it has huge collection of data. The data can be from text or video, audio, everything. It will combine and give the outcome. We have generative adversarial network, GANs. Use this is basically it is a neural network. Which has two aspects. One is it tries to create content, other one is discriminated to judges authenticity. For example, so here basically tries to generate the data with respect to two acts. One will generate the data, other one will judge by checking whether it is authentic data, and accordingly it will make a decision. The third one is diffusion models. Models create images starting with random noise. So this is of not much important. Next, story of generative. So as I mentioned you in the first beginning of the class, whenever you are trying to generate an AI story, okay. So whenever you are trying to generate a story, for example, you want to generate a summary of a document, or you want to create some mathematical model, you want to query ChatGPT. So what exactly you are going to do? You are giving some query keywords. These keywords are created into a lot of tokens. So tokens are already converted into embedding things, so that will come back. So now one question is, whatever we are trying to do, does everything software itself is sufficient for us to run this? For example, we have Python. So PyTorch, TensorFlow model, everything is there. Is that sufficient to run the model, whatever? For example, you are doing ChatGPT. Give me some concept about India. Means if I ask immediately, it will give. So how it is giving? So under what it is running? So ChatGPT is just a UI on your system, right? The system is connected to internet, and somewhere on what it is running. Can anybody tell me how it is able to generate the outcome? The model is there, that's fine. It has trained the data, it's fine. Beyond that, what is there?
It's fetching from the database.
From where?
The server,
Okay.
infrastructure should be there.
Infrastructure. What is that infrastructure contain?
To store all this pre-trained data.
Correct. So
Cooling,
now,
you need to give some cooling and other thing because data is increasing day by day.
correct.
And processing capacity.
So what is that processing capacity?
CPU or GPU or TPU.
So now behind this, basically, there's a huge hardware which is sitting in the background. Now ChatGPT, ChatGPT, there's one more called DeepSeek, right?
Yes.
What is this DeepSeek?
DeepSeek is generated by China. It is
Faster than
more than 4 times faster compared to
this one,
Indian
right?
OpenAI.
So are we not able to do it? Indians, are we not able to do it?
Based on that infrastructure, whatever they have, what type of data, how much data,
Okay.
higher number of these parameters, it said no bias and weights. Keeps on increasing with data increases, accuracy of that model will be good. So that you get precisely whatever you are asking, whatever your prompt you are giving, accordingly you get that. Lesser the data means whatever output you get, it's less precise. So
I think
more the
excellent.
data set means
Okay.
more precise.
I think she was very much accurate. So we know NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is a company. Everybody know NVIDIA?
Yes, yes.
What they do basically? What they do? NVIDIA. GPUs, right? What is GPU? Graphics processing unit. Everybody in the Intel, right? Intel. What the Intel do? CPU. Right? It is basically IC, the chip. what is the difference between CPU and the GPU?
It's more, GPU is more faster.
GPU only very graphics related, that much
Correct.
that's what GPU.
Correct. I think GPU is only for graphics related computation. CPU, text based, number based. So we have a, so can we combine all these CPUs and make one chat GPT? Will it work? Will it work? What makes it difference? You have mobile, right? You have mobile. Mobile has which processor? So everybody, Samsung mobile, you have Samsung mobile, what processor it has, sir? Quad core, and it has Snapdragon, Qualcomm has given Snapdragon processor, right? So can we combine this processor and can we create a chat GPT or a DeepSeek? So India also can do it, right? But we are taking time, right? So now that is what I want to answer. Yes, everything works only by software. Is Python or some programming language, will that be sufficient? It's a question. I will answer this question going ahead. Then how it gets broken down and how hardware processing impacts. So now most of the people, you, me, everybody, we know only the film heroes and heroines who play in the movie. We don't know S.P. Balasubramaniam. We don't know the composer who is behind the scene. That is what the processing capability. So now the entire market is banking on this, the last point, the hardware. What we are doing is, we I have completed my engineering in 2000. 2000, I think most of could be my age group. So we were last 25 years I have been working. So in the many companies like service industries, like I will not name the company, we have been servicing the other country. We have been like we don't have the work, so we go and beg them to work and we do it. So that era is done now. Now after 25 years, at least we should become the work givers. We should not beg the work from other countries. We should produce the work. So how we can produce the work is, we should be innovative. We should be innovators. We should develop our own mobile, our own products. Okay, that's the transformation which should happen. So 25 years, me and our elders, we did service to other countries. So when you go to the US consulate, you see a lot of queue because we keep going to US and we want to work in US. Okay, now the situation has come where entire world is looking at India. I will tell you why it is going to happen. I will tell you going ahead. So entire world is looking at India. So now we should be the job creators, job producers. We should not be going behind the other companies like other countries like Germany, UK to get the job. So that situation will come. I will tell you how it comes. So if you want to do that, I think majorly you should focus on the hardware part. What we do is, hardware means even from the students and few of the faculty, not all, we think that hardware is not good. It is something dirty which will not focus. Only software will focus. Software, when you focus software, what happens is, we will be in high level and the creamy level and we will never get into system level, which is a major drawback. Okay, so that will focus step by step. So now, what are the stages of how AI works? So what is this AI and how does it work? So let's see. So whatever you are giving input, whatever query you are giving, let it be any query. So that is called as input processing or prompt engineering. So first thing is, whenever generative AI, when it takes the input, it validates the input. So what is the input you are giving? Is it the right query or asking? Everything it validates and it makes it clear. Then these inputs are basically converted into tokens. Each and every word, each and every character is converted into tokens. These tokens are again converted into numerical vectors. This numerical vector is called as embedding. Each of the vector, each of the token, whatever you are giving, let us say, please give me something about India. So then please is one word, something means another. So all these matrix multiplication. Each word, each converted into vector. Internally it will process it further, and it will also check for, while processing it will check for, it will convert into mathematical numbers. Okay, and this will be taken as a matrix multiplication, and it will do a lot of computation, and finally it will give the output. Now, Intel CPU, whatever you were mentioning, right? Intel CPU, NVIDIA as a GPU, and there is one more word called TPU. TPU, Tensor Processing Unit, TNSOR, Tensor Processing Unit, which is a new processor which is coming up, for especially for the AI. That also will learn. So this is the way generally the generative AI takes the tokens and it embeds the respective mathematical value and it does the computation. Then context and information retrieval. Context is something like it tries to derive the meaning according to the word which is placed at which place in the sentence. Okay, so the meaning of the word changes depending on where it is placed in the query. So that is context, and it tries to basically what it does is the query that require up to date specific properties, all this context is generated. Sometimes what happens is there is some specific proprietary data you are asking. Let us say if you are asking for a quarterly income or revenue generated by a company, okay, which is proprietary to that particular company, it will not reveal the data until they reveal public, then it comes public domain and it will get the data. So that type of proprietary data will not be available. So it needs some authentication. So that process is basically called as retrieval augmented generation. Okay. Then inference and last, the final phase of the generative AI is inference and generation. So the input tokens and embeddings and retrieve data, it generates a response. So LLM predicts forthcoming tokens in the sequence. So basically, what is the difference between Google search and ChatGPT search? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between Google search? In the Google you will tell who is the Prime Minister of India. In chat you will tell who is the Prime Minister of India. It will give the difference. It will give us some more. What is the difference between this?
ChatGPT is more specific and relevant.
Okay.
Google will get more unrelated information also sometimes.
Whatever is stored in the server, everything it will give. In
Google, okay.
But in case of this one, it take whatever prompt you have given, it will take that one like test instant. Only for that it use required answer. Test instant is required from the train model.
So train model. Any other answers?
Google semantic search and ChatGPT does contextual answers.
Context is can elaborate.
Context means it will understand what I am asking in the kind of.
I think excellent. Your name, sir? Pratap. So Pratap mentions that, for example, who is the Prime Minister of India? It will give list in Google. In AI, what happens is it will give along with the list whatever it has generated, and then it will more appropriate contextual based. So you mentioned that context based because in generative AI, the second phase it picks the context, the word and the way what you are asking. It understands the background, and next time. First you ask who is the Prime Minister of India. Please tell me more about India. If I ask, so in Google it will not remember the previous context. It will take that as a new question and it will give the basic thing. But ChatGPT it will understand context. So earlier you asked about who is the Prime Minister of India. Now tell me more about India. So it will try to link the context, and it is like a continuous conversation, like a human being. Google search will not do that. It will not understand the context. So if you can understand this difference, you can go more and get more output from the generation. So that's one thing. So inference generation. So inference generation is it understands the context, it understands the content, what it is delivering, and also it will try to understand the way it has to give. Sometimes you will ask some data in Excel sheet, it will give an Excel sheet. Sometimes you ask data in a Word document as a document. Sometimes it will give as a voice message, sometimes images. So whatever you need, it will understand the context and try to give accordingly whatever you need. You want it in text format, it will give text format. It wants readable format, it will give, then apply various formats. So that's what basically it takes. And the important thing is, it should meet ethical and safety guidelines. What is the ethical and safety guidelines? What are the ethical and safety guidelines? Which is more important. What do you, for example, you ask for a data. Some children are there. They will ask. I think some time back we had a game called Blue Whale game. The children, they commit suicide, right? So this safe guidance basically takes care of it. Some things which should not be accessible by the young children. Something which should not be accessible by a particular individual. It can be religion based, or some sensitive information, or some secure information about India, or some secure information about US. All things it takes care. So it will not give everything. Once it goes beyond that, basically it will block the content and it will give whatever needed. So what are the different ethical considerations for the AI development? So whenever you are developing, so tomorrow what happens is you will be teaching the students and whoever is developing, basically we should have the fairness. These are the three aspects which you should consider. One is the fairness and the bias part of your AI model. Basically, it like unfair outcomes can arise when training data reflects historical prejudices leading to discrimination against certain groups. For example, when you are developing an AI, as per our history, Indian history, we have studied about glorification of a particular king, and we have left out our other kings. For example, Vijayanagar king, Krishnadevaraya, he was ruling the universe for 400 years. But whatever we studied the history, it never reflected more about Krishnadevaraya. Okay, somewhere, some Khilji dynasty, some other dynasty, it was glorified, and this is a prejudice in the history which we have learned. We are biased. So when a model was trained, all the content on the internet will be based on that one. For example, we had this on South Indian king, right? Police, there's a movie. Who is that person? Not Krishna, one more South Indian, Pallavas, I think. Pallavas are Pandyas, I am not sure. So we had entire naval force up to Singapore, right? It was a great thing. 1,000 years back we had a naval forces with India. So that is not nowhere reflected in the history, and it is not available on the internet. So that bias will be there. So if you ask, then it will show only US. And turmeric, if you see turmeric, the beauty of turmeric thing is, it is antiseptic. This was discovered by India, we never patented, but US patented about turmeric, the medicinal qualities of turmeric. Now, if I go and check on the ChatGPT, it will say US has found this. It's a prejudice and a bias. Also, the model also trained accordingly, whatever available on the information on the internet. So this is fairness part, which we should take care. Accountability. Now, accountability is something like whenever you are giving a wrong decision in a ChatGPT generative AI. For example, as I told the turmeric patented by US. It's a wrong decision, which we have done some centuries we have done. But now who will take the accountability? So nobody is going to, because we are training the model and the model is already trained. Untraining the model is very difficult. So that is why we are training the model. Look for the authentic data. If there is unauthentic data, you remove there only. So that after that untraining is very challenging. Next thing is privacy and data protection. This is very important. So the vast amount of data, much of which are personal and sensitive. So whenever you are sharing your data on LinkedIn or Facebook or any other personal data, what happens is, once it gets into public domain, it becomes, there is no privacy. Your WhatsApp message, everything, whatever you put in privacy is lost. So that becomes a privacy breach. So whenever you are sharing the data, since it's AI, always take care so that your data is protected and privacy is always protected. Then how does the bias systematic errors in the AI system output and unfavorably distribute certain individuals or groups. So this is basically bias. For example, when we have certain issues, like we have certain issues. Whenever we say Kashmir is a integral part of India. Everybody will know. But there are some groups which will say that Kashmir belongs to some other country, which is wrong. Okay, these type of unfavorable decisions, they will start pumping it. Now there is a war between Israel and Gaza. Either party will pump in because whenever I do the query, it should get the data unfavoring me. China. So China always shows that the accession and the POK doesn't belong to India. You go and see any map on the internet, always it shows that the accession, which is China occupied Kashmir, and the POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, doesn't belong to India. But as per our Indian map, we claim that POK belongs to India. Right? So now this data is published across everywhere. Even our external affairs ministry, Indian government, everybody they claim in the UN map, the China is able to influence the UN. Okay, which is not very in favor of India. Okay, these type of bias things will be there in the. So you should be careful. Then algorithm bias. So what happens is there are some algorithms where you feed the data. Once you feed the data, when you are calculating, if it is 5.6 or something like that, it is 6. If you get the outcome as 6, 5.6 and 6 almost near, it gets biased algorithmically. Okay, and if there is, it favors the outcome. So this type of algorithm bias also you should take care whenever you are writing the algorithm. Then human bias. So the producers like data scientists and other people involved in the project can be unintentionally embedded in the system to choices made during data labeling. So this is one of the again one more influencing factor in decision making. So these aspects you should take care whenever you are designing an algorithm or designing a model. So this all will influence in a bigger manner. So this memorization and data linkage is already told. So whenever you are training a model, once the model is trained, what happens is the ChatGPT or generative AI, the model gets learned and it remembers, it will not forget. So once you train the data, after that, if you feel that something has gone wrong, this is a wrong decision, and unlearning or untraining the data becomes very challenging because huge amount of data has been pumped and from which data we got, we will not be able to make it. So this is one important thing which you have to take, and lack of right to be forgotten. Process should be very challenging. So that's why any model and every model, whatever you train the model, it should be properly trained with the right data, authentic data. Otherwise, it ends up being a problem. Then data protection and its methods. What are the different ways you can protect the data? Is giving the right data is data minimization. What is data minimization? The core principle of data protection is to collect and use only the data that is absolutely necessary. So this means that curating, training data sets to remove personally identifiable information. So basically what happens is whenever you are feeding data or you are training a model, you should give only essential, whatever is needed. If you give more data, then more bias will happen and it will get the right decision will get skewed. The decision will get skewed. So that is something. Federated learning. Suppose the model to be trained on data from multiple devices like smartphones without data ever leaving the device. Only the learned parameters of the model are shared with the central server and no raw data is collected. So this is basically you are trying to collect the data from various devices but not disrupting the device. So just only collecting the data, not the data which is already available. You are not like pirating. You are not stealing the data. You are trying to get the data and whatever is available, whatever device can render. It is not stealing from the actual memory or from the content of the device. Then synthetic data. Synthetic data is there are some data which you will not get, for training you need 20,000 data or 30,000 data. Now when you are not getting those data, you try to come up with a formula and synthetically you generate. That is called as synthetic generation. So these are some of the ways where you can take data production so that it is well within the bound and it gives a sensible data for the sampling. Okay, now coming to the action. So these are some of the aspects which you learn about the other aspects of the AI, generative AI. Now actual thing is, this is where you need to focus. The major focus should be on this. So who is the Karyakarta, the hardware behind how it is actually running the generative AI. So we have many processes like PC, GPU and GPU. So what is the difference between CPU and GPU? Why a CPU cannot run the AI? Can anybody tell me? Why a CPU cannot run the AI model?
Capacity is less in all aspects. It won't support whatever frameworks we have.
Okay.
Like PyTorch, TensorFlow, in terms of the data centers, it won't support the CPU.
CPU.
Basic processing unit.
That's what it is. I think good. Any other idea? What is the CPU? What? Yeah. What is the difference between CPU and GPU? Binary. Okay. More memory. Okay. Okay. Processing is faster. Why do you think so? Why do you think processing is faster? Memory and RAM. Any other reason? Yeah. Somebody else. Data versus capacity is more.
CPU cannot process images to process.
CPU cannot?
Images. Processing of images is considerably less.
Okay.
You can do it in a good manner and also lot of parallel calculators.
In the GPU. Okay.
That would be one reason.
That's a good. Any other thing?
In GPU, large data can be processed very fast. And in CPU, limited data will be processed.
In case of CPU, different high-dimensional data.
Is possible. Okay. Any other things?
Parallel computing
Can be done in GPU. CPU. Okay. GPU. Okay. How many of you are aware about Intel processor x86 architecture? At high level? Yeah. Can you just give some idea? High level. Intel x86. They say that ours is i7 core, i8 core, it can give i7 like that, right? So what exactly it signifies? My processor is high speed computing like that, right? So for example, you have a principal at the college. Who is the principal? He is the highest authority who can take an administrative decision. Now, you could be a faculty of AI, you could be a faculty of electronics, but you will be more stronger than the principal also with respect to knowledge. But the principal is the authority, highest administrative authority. Now, our CPU is like a principal. CPU is capable of doing many calculations it can do, and it can give right control signals at right time. It can do all those things. But whether it is computationally intensive, it is not. It is CPU is majorly it is built for general computing. It can do some extent of mathematical computation to some extent. It can do some good extent of graphical too. It can do, but it is a general thing. It is not trained for a particular way of computation. But GPU graphics process unit. GPU initially it was mainly designed for graphical processing because when you are playing a game, it has a lot of pixels on the screen, and each pixel it needs to calculate, and accordingly it needs to take some decisions. That is why they made use of GPU. That was the concept. Okay, so now how it is able to do a complex computing in case of GPU. So now CPU will have one AI, and whatever the data you are trying to feed the CPU, it has to read from the memory. and it processes the data, and after processing it will write into some register, and from the register it will copy to memory. Now as per the computational survey, if you take ARM processor also or any x86 processor also, 60% of the CPU cycle time goes in reading and writing the operation from the memory. Only 40% of the data which is the CPU time is used computing the actual data. Now our 60% of time is getting wasted in copying the data from memory and again retrieving the data from memory, which is waste of time, right? So now what, according to GPU, what they have done, GPU will have, it is something like, if you go to a 5-star hotel, okay, there they will have a chef. They need to prepare for 20,000 people. So one person will be preparing only the sweet part of the dish.
Like parallel computing.
Parallel computing. So another person will be doing only the maybe some curry. Another person will be doing only the rice, cooking of rice. So everybody will be doing parallel. But if you ask the person who is cooking rice to prepare some curry, he will not know. He is only specialized in cooking rice. The other guy is only specialized in cooking the curry. So similarly, the GPU will have tens of hundreds of ALUs. Tens of hundreds of ALUs, and everything will be fed with parallel memory. Internally it will have a huge memory, like a few MBs of memory. So it will feed the memory, immediate data, and it will start computing. So this is the GPU. Now GPU also has limitation. It can only process the only process the graphics. Now coming to AI part. So on topic, the GPU has certain limitations. Then what happens is, recently Google has come up with one more concept called TPU. What is this TPU? Tensor processing. What is this tensor processing unit? How it is different? So this tensor processing unit is majorly and extensively used for AI only. So what is the difference between normal AI and other normal CPU? You write some program, right? Swapping bubble sort or quick sort you write on your CPU and it will do it. Then when I compare with that CPU and this TPU, what is the difference? What is the difference? So
It chunks the data,
it checks the data.
parallelly assigns the processes and gets the list sorted.
Correct.
And once the chunks get sorted, it again assimilates them.
That is the normal CPU, the way it is working. What does AI require? What does AI require? So now you say immediately, please tell me more about India. ChatGPT within 2 minutes it will give you complete entire jatra about India, right? How it is able to compute that? How it is able to compute? So basically, tensor processing unit, it is a very massive computing unit where it has individually, the normal CPU will have only one ALU. Tensor processing unit, it will have 64K, 70K ALUs, which are parallelly connected. So now, but when it computes so much of computation and mathematics, okay, what happens is, normal computation itself, your CPU, you see, it will get heated, right? On that we have a fan, which is rotating and it will evade out the heat, whatever it is there. Then TPU, it is having 64,000 ALUs are there. Then how much heat it should generate, right? How are we managing the heat? That is the challenge. So now in TPU, what they have done is, instead of connecting the RAM, so there is a memory called high bandwidth memory, a RAM which is inside the TPU. So normally what happens is, CPU will have access to the RAM. So every time it go and access the RAM, that and it does the computation. So in case of TPU, what happens is, TPU inside the chip socket, there is a high bandwidth memory which is connected nearer to the ALUs. And let us say there are 64K ALUs are there. 64,000 ALUs are there. This memory will have 64 different lines. In one cycle, it is able to feed the 64,000 data to all the ALUs in one cycle. So now, once the ALU computes, okay, each and every computation, what happens is, ALU 1 completes some data. Okay, once it 2 plus 3, it will say 5. This output again fed to one more ALU. it is not written to memory. So that output becomes the input of another area. So the memory operation is reduced. So it is connected wire to wire parallelly, so that it is like a systolic way of like how the heart measure, heart pumping, systolic pressure, like it goes up, like a chain, like it goes, right? In case of TPU, what happens is one output of one ALU will go as an input to the next ALU, and that output, second output, will go as an input to the third ALU. So what happens is, in between these operations, the memory operations are reduced. Time taken will be more, but memory operations are reduced. So once the memory operations are reduced, what happens is the heat generation, heat dissipation on the CPU is reduced. So you are optimally utilizing every cycle of the CPU, so that computation capacity increases, and at a time, since it's a parallel processing, all the data is basically once it is computed, it renders the result. So this way, it is able to quickly compute and get to the result. So now, generally what happens is, in case of where this is used, so generally this ChatGPT and other Meta AI or Gemini, everything, they have huge servers across the world. For example, you have YouTube, right? YouTube, you have a video. Today I will post a video. Tomorrow you will post a video. Anytime, has it ever complained that boss, today I am end up with the memory, tomorrow you post it, doesn't do like that, right? Anytime you do, it will have a space for the memory, and you are able to render the video, right? How it is possible? How it is possible? So they have a huge servers which is placed across the world. For India, it will have some hundreds of servers. One place in New Delhi, other place in Bangalore, other place in Chennai, so that locality of reference, it eases the distance and it can stream in an easy way. It has a huge amount of servers. So similarly, ChatGPT and other Gemini and other people, they would have distributed this high computation TPUs across the world. So now in India, you will do something, immediately locally there are some servers installed, it will render your data. So it's a distributed computing which makes it quite faster and efficient. So this is about the tensor processing. Are we clear something about this? And how this exactly works? So CPUs are there. In the servers, CPUs are there, but CPUs will manage this TPUs. So CPU get the data and tell, okay, I am sharing the data, please compute and give me the result. CPUs are mainly used as a control signal unit. It is not used for computing. Computation is done by either TPU or the AI accelerators. What are AI accelerators? AI accelerator is also like a TPU. It's an ASIC. It's application specific. So most of the going ahead, what's happening is, we might have studied about the ARM processor. We might have studied about Intel x86 architecture, 8051 microcontroller like this, right? So all these are still very much valid, but going ahead, it's TPUs where the AI computation we need more, right? So we need to focus on understanding how the TPU can be designed and new ASICs can be designed in an efficient way. So this is what I tried to explain. So there is a high bandwidth memory which is available inside the chip of the CPU, and this will help in pumping the data, huge amount of data, 64K, 70K, depending on the configuration, and it helps to basically calculate in a short period of time. So this is what I explained. There is basically an array of processors which are computing. So one output goes to as an input to the next processor, and it will start computing. And one more thing with respect to the processor architecture is, for example, you say 32-bit architecture. If I say int A is equal to, let us say 505. So what happens? The entire 32-bit memory is used for storing only 5, right? Variable 5, which can be represented in how many bits? Only 2 bits. Only 2 bits are used, remaining are all zeros. Entire 32 bit is used. So in case of GPU, the architecture is such a way that it can alter the instruction. Instructions are altered such a way that the numbers are small. It will store that 5, the value 5 in only 2 bits. And tomorrow if you have one more number 8, it can be stored in 4 bits. So instead of in 32 bit, it can store 4 to 5 variables. Instead of only one variable like normal CPU, it has adaptability where it can store a lesser number of bits, so that it will, this also increase occupying like capacity of holding a number, and the computations will also increase. This is one of the important aspects of the CPU. Okay. So this is how the architecture of the CPU will be there. Usually this is the package, then we have GPU and DRAM and high bandwidth memory will be there. So it is all encompassed in a single chipset. This I have already explained. So these are some of the things which you should be aware. So now going ahead, what I would encourage you to, there is a lot of text about TPU, which is a Google processor, which is still in the evolving stage. Okay. So and NVIDIA is also coming with its own code similar to TPU. I would encourage you to go and explore this and try to understand it. This is what the next 3-4 years, which is going to transform the entire technological world, where you and me, we are going to directly impact it. So if you are not aware about this, then you become outdated. So the problem is with us only, so we should get updated. So this is the latest thing which I want you people to explore and learn with us. Okay. So next probably I will tell you some more insight about what we can learn and how we can teach the students, so that both as a faculty and students, both are on par with the industry. So we will stop at this point. We'll take a break. So this is a very important aspect where we can focus. The next generation growth of the country is on this. So I want you to focus on this and help the country to grow. When the country grows, you and me will grow. Okay. So very important thing is now you can see that lot of geopolitical tensions are happening, right? US, Taiwan, China. So how many chips India has manufactured, or whatever the chipsets you are getting, right? How are we getting these chipsets? Who is the manufacturing this? China, Taiwan, then US, then what else? India. Where is India? They are only making banana chips, not semiconductor chips, right? So now the entire world. Have you heard about this? A company called TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Chip. I think some TSMC. Now TSMC is a company which is in Taiwan, and it produces 70% of the world chips. Whatever the semiconductors the world, whichever company is producing, 70% of the chipsets are manufactured in Taiwan. So now there are other companies like Samsung. Samsung is a fab company. Samsung also manufactures. Intel also manufactures. AMD also manufactures to some extent, not the major thing. Microchip also manufactures. So now, why China wants to acquire Taiwan? Why China wants to attack Taiwan and they want to acquire it? Again, basically the reason is China also has one company called there's one company which was banned by US. Huawei also manufactures the semiconductors. Okay, now since Huawei is banned by most of the Western countries like US, UK, because of spying suspicion, right? They have banned it. So now the major ball goes into Taiwan, where Taiwan is 70% of the world exports are done from Taiwan. That is why one of the reasons why China wants to attack Taiwan and get the grab. So now, apart from Taiwan, Intel is one of the major manufacturers of chip industry. Now what happens to Intel? So Intel is a US company. Now what's happening is, India now, I think Modi mentioned that in another 2 months we are coming up with one India manufactured chipset, right? So now we are also going to release, but thing is, whatever we are developing a chipset, it is around 28 nanometer, 30 nanometer technology, which is 10 years old technology which we are trying to cope up now in India. Okay. Now what about the TSMC company? So now in the whatever the AI chipsets I mentioned, right? The AI chipsets, if it wants to have so much of ALUs and so compactly placed inside the die list, it should go for 1 nanometer, 1.5 nanometer technology or around 3 nanometer technology. So now that nanometer technology, if I want to manufacture a chipset, it needs to have a very sophisticated technology. So now to manufacture this chipset, the technology, there are some machines which needs to do the chip, right? It is manufactured by, that machines are produced by, there is only one company in the world. That company is called ASML technology, which is available in Netherlands. It is only one company, and that equipment to manufacture this 3 nanometer technology or 5 nanometer technology is a different technology. The machine itself costs only 1.5 lakh crore. One machine costs so much. Okay, and if I manufacture that IC with 3 nanometer technology, 1.5 nanometer technology, how to is my design is efficient? So now, if I question that, Intel is not so efficient. Intel processor, Intel is gradually coming into AI, and Intel is not a specialized AI processor designer. So NVIDIA is already 10 meters, 10 kilometers ahead. Intel is lagging behind a huge space. So Intel is also not ready. Even Trump is saying that we pump in the money because Intel is a US company, right? And they want to pump in money and they don't want to leave Intel. Intel, the x86 architecture and the processor design, and there's a huge gap, and they are terribly hit with respect to the competitors. That's why there's a lot of.
Fired many.
There are no people. Intel is only in PC market. But PC, how many people you will buy? It is very less. So now going ahead, US wants to have Intel in the airspace, that is in US, which Intel is not willing. And this side, Taiwan, China, there is a tension. Now only thing left behind is India. Okay, that is why India is focusing on semiconductor. Now the thing is, India, now there is a rift between India and US. Now we are dependent more on US and Taiwan. So we don't have a self-sufficient semiconductor technology, and human skill also it is not there, manpower. Still the manpower is not there. Everybody they want to easy money. I will do Python, I will not do hardware. I will know C program, I will not do hardware. This is how our mindset is. So this mindset has to change. Okay. So now next generation, I think by 2030, semiconductor market is $1 billion market. So even big countries like US, they are selling fighter jets, F-35, F-16. Even if they sell hundreds of fighter jets to India or any other country, they will not make so much money as semiconductor. That is why everybody, there is a lot of money in semiconductor. That is why everybody is pitching semiconductor. So now, that is why India is also pitching, but India, we are in far very late. So we are in 28 nanometer, 30 nanometer technology, which is far behind. So now we have 3 companies which are established. One is in Gujarat, and Northeast we have another 2 companies. Tata Electronics have invested, and Andhra also they are getting on semiconductor manufacturing industry. So now, everybody will say semiconductor. What is the semiconductor? So one is the manufacturing way, and we have huge design hubs are there in India. Design countries where they don't, design companies where they don't manufacture the semiconductor. For example, analog devices. There is a company called Analog Devices. They do hardware design. They don't manufacture. They will go and manufacture with TSMC because they are the technology people who can experts in manufacturing. Then we have Synopsys, which is another company who do design services. They don't manufacture. Okay. There are a lot of design services are there. So probably we all can, as a faculty and as a teachers, you all can evolve some new designs, focus on new designs, and manufacturing now in India we are able to manufacture. So I think that could be one area where we can migrate. That is with respect to manufacturing. Coming to R&D. So now manufacturing we cannot do because it needs huge investment. We cannot do alone. Government needs support. So now for every manufacturing industry, the government is giving 50% of the salary for all the. If I have 10 employees, if my salary expense is 10 lakhs, 5 lakhs is given by the government. Indian government is giving. Only as an employer, this remaining 5 lakhs I need to pay. That I have to take. So this is the promotion which Indian government is giving on semiconductor industry. That is manufacturing part. Now let us come to the design part, R&D part. So these are the areas which we should focus. If you want to develop the country and develop yourself personally, these are the areas if you can focus where it is very hot and very rich in the market. So one is embedded systems and electronic design is very important area where you need to nurture the engineers and you also nurture yourself so that you are able. What is this embedded system? Can anybody tell me what is an embedded system? Yeah, can you? Some combination of hardware and software. Combination of hardware and software. So now
Everything is embedded. RAM, all in one chip.
All in one chip. Any
Software
other?
is embedded in the hardware.
Software is embedded in the hardware.
For application specific this one.
Correct.
Specific application.
Okay. Any other idea? Any other idea?
Example, washing machine.
Washing machine is embedded
Example.
system. So now
Microcontroller.
microcontroller is a embedded system. So now how are we equipped as a you can honestly admit yourself. So do not admit to anybody. How are we honestly exploring about this technology in academics? It's a challenge. So for this embedded system, when I ask computer science children or students, I ask, sir, mine is computer science, I will not focus on hardware. Microprocessor is hardware, sir, why should I study?
IoT subject is there.
IoT subject is, sir, hardware, sir, nanak barala, sir. Then if I ask the electronic student, he will tell, sir, microprocessor I know, I don't want to learn C programming, I don't want to do that, that is computer science. Right? Now, thing is,
Multidisciplinary.
it's a multidisciplinary. I am a computer science engineer. I have studied my BE computer science, ME also computer science, and PhD also in computer science. Thing is, I work for an embedded system company. For embedded system, today if give me a concept, I can design a product with electronic circuits as well as computer programming. So it's a multidisciplinary subject. So now you should remove that barrier in your mind. As an engineer, you are all problem solvers. You should not restrict yourself to, sir, I am a computer science, I am electronics, I am instrumentation. So that barrier has to be removed. As an engineer, we are problem solver and we are system designers. That is what is here. So that barrier has to go away. And then extra effort. So computer science, microprocessor, whatever engineers you are producing in this college, everybody they come to the industry and they work on the same embedded system project only. There is no distinction as a computer science, electronics, instrumentation, nothing. Everybody should know the basic C programming, everybody should know the basic microprocessor technology. Otherwise, whatever engineers you are creating, and they will become obsolete. There will not be only out of 22 lakh engineers who are being produced, only 2 lakh engineers they get the job. Remaining, they are on the roads. They will not do engineering work, but they do some other work. So even though we are producing a lot of engineers, they are not skilled enough to do the job. So this is the huge gap. So how we can compensate this? One of the ways is emphasize more on system thinking rather than your compartmentalized thinking with respect to the subject, say the computer science or electronics or some other thing. So that compartmentalized thought process should be weeded out. You should work as a systems engineer. So that is what is needed. Second thing is coming to embedded system. What are things we can do in embedded system? This is the focus area. So what in embedded system you need to focus? At least one processor you should focus. So we have many processors. ARM processor is there. Extension to the 8051 is there. ARM Cortex, basic low power CPU are there. You can focus on that and make the students understand the in and out of the process. So where it is available, how I will explore this? You have Gemini AI. Go and explore. What is the ARM processor? What can I do with that? I want to understand here what is the architecture of ARM processor. We will give you all the details. Then there is a technical reference manual. You can note down there is a technical TRM, technical reference manual, which is available on the internet. Okay, ARM V8 architecture is there, so you can download and start exploring. If you don't understand, you have Gemini AI or Meta AI. Go and key in that word. What is programmer's model of ARM V8 architecture? All those things you can key. Once you understand the processor architecture, so ARM also another 5 years it will go away. So they also needs to transform themselves. There is one more processor called RISC-V5 or RISC-V. This is a new, this is open source architecture, which is competing with the ARM. Okay. So this is one new area where you can understand. Then you have CISC and RISC process, right? You are studying only theory. In every examination, they will tell what is the difference between CISC and RISC. You would have answered, you got marks, but what is there on the ground? Nothing. So now thing is go in depth. So why you have the mobile, right? You have the mobile. So this questioning, the critical, the thinking quotient you should have this. Mobile processor doesn't have Snapdragon. They have only Snapdragon, right? Snapdragon Qualcomm processor. Internally it has ARM core. Why Intel is not able to? We don't have an Intel core on your mobile, right? It's only on your PC. Why we don't have Intel core? So I want you to explore this. So we get the answer. Intel is not able to get into mobile market. Even I worked at Intel R&D for some time, where I worked on the Intel chipset. But thing is, Intel could not get into mobile market because the architecture, whatever, it is a more power consuming and more computational. It produces a lot of heat. Because they are not able to thrive. So what is that architecture? That is a RISC architecture. ARM is a RISC architecture. So how it differentiates? So I want you people to explore and get more. If you don't get, you come back to me, I will. Otherwise, you should understand this and explain, gain knowledge yourself and explain to students. Second thing is, once you understand this, then explore on AI process. This is where the next 10 years, it is our era where we have to capture. If you don't capture now, other countries will explore and again we will be like slaves. India, I think last 200 years we have been slaves. We don't want to be slaves again. Let's see, design house, India has to be design house. Then apart from this, in semiconductor, you need to explore on I2C, basic protocols are there. What is I2C? I2C, have you heard about this? What is I2C? I2C is inter-integrated circuit. So any communication between a processor and the peripheral happens within this I2C protocol. So by default, in the meals, whatever we have, we add salt, right, as a part of the dish, right? So please add this as part of your learning program. So this will help you to empower yourself and empower the students, and it will help in getting the job. Any semiconductor, it can be Samsung, Nvidia, Google, analog device, any company you take, any chipset, it will have these basic protocols. So if you know these protocols, securing the job becomes easy. So out of these 4 protocols, any one protocol, if you learn, if you are thorough, you will be able to get the job. So SPA, what is SPA? Interface. So serial peripheral interface is used in almost, have you heard about CAN protocol? CAN protocol, which is used in automotive industry. The interface for CAN is SPA. So if you know SPA, you can, whatever the automotive R&Ds are there, you can get the job there. So SPA, serial peripheral interface, is one more protocol which you should be aware. Next, what is USB? I think USB everybody, right? So you might have used the iPhone. The first 2 versions of iPhone, which was released in 2009 and 2010, it had my USB driver. So I was one person who wrote the USB driver for iPhone. So USB is one very important thing which you should be aware. UART, what is UART? And there is one more protocol called RS-232. UART uses RS-232. What is RS-232? UART, how it is interface? So probably you should be aware. If you are knowing this UART protocol and RS-232, you can make yourself and students get a job. This is very important thing. Then PCIe, there is one more protocol called PCIe, and the latest one is UCIe is also there. So PCIe is I think PCIe architecture we know. PCIe is one more thing which is extensively used in AI process and interfacing with many other the internal devices. Okay, this is this advanced high-speed protocol. So first learning this 4, and after that you can start learning or help the students to learn this. So this will make them get a good job. this is what I meant as embedded system. So everybody they keep telling you should be industry ready. What makes you industry ready is if you are aware about this, then you become industry ready. If you are not inclined to this or you don't study this, you are not industry ready. If you are provided you are trying to come up into embedded systems, these are the basic. Even if I interview, I look for only this.
The designing part.
A designing part. You should know how to first understand the protocol, then how to program it. You should know C programming also. So C programming, what happens? Generally, what happens is individually you learn C program, you will get 100 marks, and you start answering, you get 80 and 90, you will pass. You will study operating this subject called operating system. You study operating system also. Individually you study, you will pass. And you have a microprocessor subject. Individually you study, you pass. But what industry needs is combine these three aspects. See, for example, if I write a small program, if I write int A, if I compile it, see, simple question I will ask you. I think how many of you are doing C programming subject for how many years? Can you raise your hand? C programming. How many years you are doing it? Okay, for Python also I will ask one question. See how many years the experience? Maximum how many years? Everybody you know C? Yes, sir. Okay, this question I have been asking in every interview. Let us see. The students are not able to answer. I will see the faculty of who will answer. Okay, one simple C question. The question is like this. I have a computer system. Please listen this carefully. So whoever answers, I really admire you. Okay. There is a system. Let us say 200 GB hard disk is there. Some 12 GB RAM is there. I write a one-line program. Print hello world. I compile it. I get a output file. A dot out or some output file is there. So now I take this out exe file or out file. I will go to other system. First system is having 200 GB hard disk, 12 GB RAM. Second system, I have 16 GB RAM, 500 GB hard disk. I take this with a different memory content. I use the exe execution. It prints hello world. Here also it prints hello world. There also it prints. Now why it is working? It is of both the different memory configurations, right? How it is working? Why it is working? Why it should work?
EXE file means the machine code.
So what?
So machine needs machine understanding.
One by one, I will give. Yeah, please go ahead.
Machine needs machine understanding.
Please listen to her, and if you have objection, please let's object the answer also. If it is right also, please try to ask the question.
It has to be in terms of its bytecode.
Okay.
Any machine only understands the bytecode. So when we compile it with the only job of converting high level to a machine level language.
Okay.
So once I get the access to that bytecode or machine level language, I can run it on any interfaces, any machines, irrespective of the memory configuration.
Okay. No, but there the memory whatever it has generated, right? It's a different memory, and here is a different memory, right? Why it should work? Okay. Can I remove the RAM?
No. We need.
Yeah. Then why it is working? Why it should work? Why it should not work? If you answer it is working, why it should work? Tell me the answer. If it is not working, why it is not working?
File size, whenever I compile, every file has its own size, limited size. But that size I supposed to get on a RAM. So the RAM size is increasing or decreasing, so I get sufficient amount of space.
Memory.
Memory.
Okay. Answer is partially correct, but some more it will lead us I need.
Both machines satisfy the requirements of odd way.
Both machines
Satisfy the order requirements of the program.
hardware requirement. That is fine. So this also excites explicit, that also excites.
It satisfies the requirements.
Okay, yeah.
For linking and loading, you basically need the memory.
Okay.
But the amount of memory required is not as much, so it can run.
Let us say I will reduce the memory. Let us say I will give only 1 KB and here is a 0.5 KB. Will it work? That printf hello world, it should be work, it should be able to work, right?
That depends on how much memory is required.
That's what let us say the program is very less than 1 KB. Or
All the libraries, total libraries should get it. So it is
I don't want the only printer.
Please, I'm not a very high-fi only printf hello world.
Library is not a lot.
So this is very important question. So if you know to answer this question, you should know the C compiler aspect, linker loader aspect. If you know completely thoroughly, only then you can answer this. So it is like in a pot, where the rice is cooked or not, only one rice I will check it. I will not check the entire rice, right? So if you know the complete compilation process, it's very interesting. Please go and see. Not knowing answer is fine, but remaining quiet of not knowing, that is a blunder. I want you people to. Okay, this is one question. I want you people to explore and start doing it. Second question I will ask you. This also I have asked many people. After 20 years of my experience, when I realized this, I don't know, then I learned this answer. So I will ask you this question. Let us see how many of the answers. Everybody has used malloc. Malloc, right? Malloc size of int. And you see into 10 bytes or 20 bytes, you will allocate. Let us say I ask for 20 bytes. Malloc pointer is equal to malloc of 20 bytes. It gives 20 bytes. The pointer address it gives. The PTR. After using what I will do is free PTR. Free means what? Basically deallocates memory. Let us assume 20 bytes you allocated. And while doing free, and I just give only pointer. I will not give comma 20. It's only pointer. So by default, it will deallocate 20 bytes. Sometimes you allocate 64 bytes, it will allocate 64 bytes, and free PTR, it will deallocate 64 bytes. How it gets to know how many bytes allocated and how it deallocates only so much of memory.
It's dynamic allocation every run.
Correct. But how it knows the free, we don't send the parameter how many bytes it has to free, right? We are just sending the pointers. But it allocate how many hour it is bytes are allocated. It will deallocate.
PTR wants the base
PTR wants the base address, but it doesn't know how many bytes it has
But like when
allocated.
we allocated, we said allocate 20 bytes.
Correct.
From that base address, it actually.
But how it will get to know?
offset cell, offset from
Offset.
base to offset.
No.
It will take base, then add the offset.
But how it will know the offset? It is a pointer, just pointer, right? So the thing is, I am trying to bring you awareness. Even though we have studied for 10 years, 20 years, these are all some of the gaps which we have. I think, yeah.
So memory stays as it is on the server, so only the pointer changes.
Yeah, but 20 bytes, how it will release to the memory pool? That's really
It
nice.
stays in the memory only.
So you are taking some water in a cup. Correct. It is given as a pointer, right? And free. You say free, only a big pointer, you are not giving how many bytes it has to be.
Malloc internally is written like that. It's a built-in.
In
function.
library.
We haven't explored the built-in function, we just used it.
Correct.
From
I want you to
internal
explore
data.
it. So these are some of the questions which are asked in Google. 1 month back I attended some interviews at Google. So I found that these are some of the interesting aspects where we ourselves got given so much in subject, we never saw this. So these are the aspects. So whenever you are reading C program, right, it is not the textbook which you should read. It is the compiler, the library files, how they are coded. If you can go through that, you will understand all the details. So the thing is, everybody is going on path. We also blindly went in that road, and we failed to see all these aspects. Some of the hidden aspects which you should see. So now coming to the C program, what the industry expects is, for example, if I say int A, so this program basically, when I flash it onto the microprocessor, it will go and store in the flash memory. So you the program, in the mobile you have flash memory, RAM memory, everything, right? inside the embedded system, it will go and sit in the flash memory. Now, whenever you compile a C program, there is a concept called memory map of the C program. Okay. So it will go and sit in the initialized data segment or data segment, it will go and sit. Now, when you are accessing this data, okay, so the way you should see the C program is you store the data in a RAM area, some area. Now, whenever you are accessing, what happens is now and then it keeps reading the data, the CPU manipulates and it does some multiplication, addition, and it will write to the RAM area. Now, whenever an operating system is there, the C program is part of, it's a task, right? It's a task which is running an operating system. So it reads the data and they say MMU. So it stores the data in the memory for the frequent access, right? So your program, whatever you are writing, it should read this data and it should be, whenever it is writing, there are two types of RAM, ISRAM and DDR-RAM. Whenever you are accessing, storing the data in a DDR-RAM, it uses more power. So, whenever you are declaring a variable, you should ensure that the variable is stored in the ISRAM, it is not stored in the DDR-RAM. If you are writing a program which is stored in the DDR-RAM, what happens is the process spends more time in accessing the data and it computes more work and it generates heat on your mobile. So whenever you are writing a program, ensure that you write a memory efficient program, power efficient program. So this is what you should focus when you are writing a C program. So whenever you are writing, whenever you are studying the C program, the system point of view, this is what you should teach to students. A simple C program, how to look into microprocessor perspective as well as operating system perspective. So individually people are doing it. Subject C program there is a subject, microprocessor there is a subject, and then operating system there is a subject. What industry, when I ask the question in the interview, this is what the interviewer expects. A system programming concept. So this has to be, for this how should I learn? There is a concept, there is a book called C Odyssey. C Odyssey is a book, okay, which explains about system programming. Even I have written one, I think, book. So this is the book which I have authored. So this book is published in US. It is used in many of the US and Australian universities. I have the soft copy. Okay, this book I have authored and it is published recently in March 2025. It is published by Microchip company. Okay, so this book I have shared all these concepts. Whatever it is there, everything I will keep it here. You can see. Okay, so this book contains. I have a soft copy with me. It is not available in India. It is available only in US and Australian universities. I will share the soft copy with the Dr. Anand is there, right? I will share the soft copy. So all my learning out of my experience I have written in a simple language, and it is used in Anna University. They are trying to use that book. In TS University they are trying to use it. Okay, these type of concepts has to be taught, and you should start transforming yourself. Otherwise, because of the next 2-3 years, there is a lot of change in the industry, and we become obsolete. So I think it's a self-evaluation and self-transformation should happen. Next, coming to the other aspect. Apart from protocols, we should be clear with SOC. What is SOC? System on chip. So what is SOC? What is system on chip? There is one more concept called system on module. So these things I think you should explore and learn. And peripherals. So any student or any individual, if you want to get into semiconductor industry, one peripheral you should be thorough. It can be any peripheral, USB, SOC, or the SPI, any peripheral. Then you have a clock module. What is this clock module? Clock. What is clock in a microprocessor or microprocessor? Oscillators, right? So now many people are saying about clock modules, right? How to configure? Everybody we are using Arduino board, right? Is it right to use Arduino board? Is it right? Sir, it is 250 rupees, 300 rupees, I will use it. Is it wise to use that Arduino? of you use Arduino? Everybody use Arduino, right? Why do you use Arduino?
To execute that IoT programs.
Okay.
Embedded C program.
Embedded C program. Anybody? Arduino, who is using Arduino? I will tell you what is the why do you use Arduino? Why we should not use Arduino? This is the next question. So Arduino, what happens is, everybody can use the Arduino code. Absolutely, there is no issue. So the thing is, if I want to configure a clock, Arduino doesn't allow us to configure the clock. It doesn't allow. It is one preset clock and you can use it. Second thing, you develop a prototype. Let us say I want to develop a prototype for an automotive small component. I use the Arduino code and develop this code. Now, if I write the same prototype and I convert it to a product, it will not work. Because Arduino is not an industry grade chip or industry grade protocol. The same code will not work. Okay. So now, what should I use? There are other chipsets which TA or Microchip or many other companies are, which are standard automotive grade or the consumer electronic grade or federal grade or specific grades are there. You can use that using it. So should I not use Arduino? Of course, for the basic things you can use, but if you are thinking to make that as a product and to start using it, don't use it. Your complaints will straight away will go and you get spoiled. So don't use Arduino. Start using some company grade, like TA, many companies are there. Start using the particular grade so that your prototype work and actual conversion to product grade will get easy. Otherwise, it will be repetition. So that's one thing. So where the clock modules are very important, you should see how optimally the clock can be used, and the optimal clock module it helps in reducing the power consumption of the system. Then power electronics. So power electronics is very important. We don't have people in power electronics in the market. If you can develop the competency in power electronics, you will be one of the heart in the market. And as per the survey, I just did a small survey. So out of 100 engineers who pass out from the college, let us say 60 to 70% they get into application programming, Java, C++, database, everything. The salary part is again, let's come back. Maybe they can get some 20-30,000 salary, they can end up in job. Remaining 30 people, another 10 people they get into application layer of embedded systems. So we have another 20 people. So in that again, another 10 people they get into middleware of the embedded systems. So we have another 10 people. So application engineers, they also get some 40-50,000 rupees salary, they get settled. Last 10 people what we have. So they another 5 people they work on firmware. What is firmware? Firmware is basically hardware and software. They get usually highly paid salary. Starting salary is 70,000, 1 lakh they get. Another 5 people they go there. Another 5 people they get into VLSI. They get the firmware and the VLSI people. We don't find anybody in the market, and that is where actually we have we should have good strength and you get highly paid. But the thing is, many people they don't come there. Even US also they don't have firmware engineers and VLSI design. So India is the only market where the entire world is. So if you can increase this number, it will be fantastic. Okay. So this is where we have to see. Then we have. So these are the programming languages which you should focus on. Memory management, Python and big manipulations you have to focus in C programming. So if you are equipped and good at this, then you will also be interested in it, and your students also will be interested in it. Otherwise, same thing, next one more FTP will come, I will also go, I will also come and teach you, and the same thing will keep on running, and the country also will be same there only. So it's only possible when all of us combine together and work together. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
opportunity. So I thank Dinesh sir for spending his valuable time as well as sharing his knowledge. So moment of appreciation, I request sir to come over here, and I request Jyoti ma'am and Anand sir to present the memento.
Stand there.
Make sure that everyone is visible.
Come, sir. Laptop background.
That's it.
Okay, now 15 to 20 minutes, that is article discussion. I am expecting 2 batches, 1 batch star batch and 1 more batch. No batch. Ready now? Any other one batch, 1 more batch for presentation. That is 5 slides. Any other batch? 1 more batch. Only 5 to 6 minutes. Only 5 slides. and based on that we will come to the prediction that whether I should give this kind of medicine to the patient or not. So that also definitely helpful. And the next one is NLP. So hope you have heard NLP. NLP is a natural language processing. So where the textual information, it will take it as an input. It means that some report will be generated. So that data it will analyze and give summarize, and it will give it to the doctor so that it will be helpful for the doctor. Then next one is ethical challenges. So what are the challenges that comes? The first one is privacy. Privacy means doctor or anybody should protect the patient data during training the model. So protecting patient data is a vital role in this. So next one is transparency. So transparency means, as we know, AI is a black box. So it is not going to give complete like decision. Okay. So if you ask something to the AI or ChatGPT, it will give some information. At the end, it will give that okay, consult doctor. Then only you take a medicine, something like that. Okay. So for that, for clinicians, explainable AI is much required. The next one is fairness. Fairness means like every model that should work well with the all kind of data set. So then only we can call it as a fairness. Then biases in AI can lead to inevitable outcomes. So biases means it's very simple. Suppose I'm going to train a model. Okay, if the data set is like imbalanced. Suppose I train the model with a like imbalanced data set. Definitely it leads to the what you can call improper diagnosis. So that may cause like sometimes loss of lives also. So this is also like bias means we are training the model with the imbalanced data set. So if the imbalanced data set, if we train model, that model will not give a 100% accuracy and it give a wrong result. So wrong result that leads to the prediction of the patient health system, and that doctor can suggest like some other tablet instead of giving a correct tablet. So this is what comes under the biases. The next slides will be presented by my teammate Pratap Kumar Solapur sir. Please sir.
Good afternoon. Let me discuss some of the ethical principles that we need to follow. So, I am audible, right? Okay. The article argues that if you are building any AI models or any algorithm which are based on AI, then that model has to also follow the ethical principles that are being followed by the medical practitioners, which stems from the Belmont report, right? So those are one is autonomy, beneficence, and non-beneficence, justice, and accountability. So autonomy says that if you are using any data, say for example, for training the AI model, the patient should be informed about it. So that is autonomy. Patient's decision is always the final decision, and then consent. If he is being informed. If you are using his data for training your AI models. Beneficence and non-beneficence. Right? Beneficence. The models that we develop, if you are using any AI assistance in medical diagnosis, those must always produce good output or beneficiary output. It should not cause any harm to the patient under consideration. So that is maximize the benefit and minimize the risk. Justice, fairness across all populations, right? If you have written AI model or anything that is being done on AI in medical field should accessible to everyone. All socio-economic groups must be represented properly. Say for example, if only well-funded hospitals have access to the AI models, then the marginal or the rural areas might miss on the benefits of it. So we should also work on the justice of it, accountability, right? Responsibility of developers and clinicians. If you are using AI and if it by any mistake or by chance it causes some harm, some of the incident happened, it has caused patient harm. Who is accountable for it? Whether the institution which is using it, whether the developer who is causing it, and who has developed the model, or the clinician who has referred, right? So proper accountability must always be defined. So one of the major problems that AI faces is bias, right? So that applies for medical field as well. So these are different kinds of bias that are that can be introduced or that can be part of any models, AI models or applications we can have in medical field. Right? One is data bias, development bias, interaction bias. These are the three things that we discussed. Right? Data bias is nothing but, as we know, AI learns from past data. Right? If the data that is being fed for training AI model is biased, say for example, I am feeding a data which represents properly, not properly represents a particular community of the, say for example, gender or race, right? Then that may not perform well for that particular gender or race, right? So that is data bias. Then development bias. Development bias is nothing but design choices that we make during the algorithm design, which might unintentionally introduce a bias. So that is development bias. Interaction bias is nothing but user influence or provider influence. Say for example, a particular doctor is overly dependent on AI outputs, or a clinician might not be having access to it. That is user bias. Which the accessibility of it or the AI application is not fairly used. Interaction bias. These are the three biases that can be introduced in AI models for medical field. Thanks.
I'll be discussing about mitigation strategies. So first we know what is mitigation, right? Mitigation means what are the serious things to be considered in the developed AI models. So these are the few mitigation strategies. The first one is what? Bias management across AI models. So already my team members have already told you what is bias. So bias is just nothing but the discrimination, which means whatever the model you are going to build, there should not be any discrimination or there should not be any favorism. So you should make sure that from the start to the end of the development of your AI model, there should not be any discrimination and there should not be any favorism. What is the second one? So data reverse, representative, balanced data source. Which means whatever the data you are feeding into your AI model, it should include all types of the situations, or it may say all types of people without any discrimination. Then the third one is model fairness away organisms and transparency. Transparency in the sense the AI should be built in such a way that it should explain how it is going to take the decisions on the from whatever they are going to do. So the transparency should be there in the built AI models. Then the fourth one is evaluation, subgroup monitoring beyond accuracy. So how we will evaluate AI models? Suppose not only the AI models, whatever the model we are going to develop, first we are going to check for the overall accuracy. Isn't it? We will check only for what? Accuracy. We are not going to test the model, the built model for each and every case. So that should not be done. Along with the overall accuracy evaluation should be tested depending upon all types of people, depending upon all types of situations. Deployment, continuous validation and real-world monitoring. So once the AI model is launched, we should keep on checking. We should keep on checking. We should keep on finding the errors. Then you should keep on updating. So then only you should, then you can ensure the AI model, whatever you have built, is safe. Then interpretability and collaboration are essential. So interpretability is just nothing but it should be very easy to understand by all the people. And collaboration means, and it should be very, what I can say, it should be in a position to work with all other systems. Then the guidelines and future direction, FAIR principles. So FAIR stands for findability, accessibility, interoperability and reusability. So which means it should be the built AI model, it should be easy to find, easy to access. Interoperability means it should work with other systems, and reusability means it should be the potential to use for the future. Standardized checklist, the built AI model should follow the universal, the global checklist create AI model, it should be in such a way that it should be trusted by everyone. So which means we should make sure that, we should ensure that it is safe and trustworthy. The built AI model is safe and trustworthy. So then only we can make sure it is working in all real-time situations for all types of people.
Now, lunch break.
Photo. First slide.
First slide.